Same time on the TV. Gonna watch some shot on video movies. But the slate, Tony and Maddie. We SOB to love SOB. We SOB to love SOB.
Hey, everybody! We are back! It is the SOBs who love SOV, and we were on a short hiatus. We have things like babies and jobs and moving and all kinds of crap, but we're back today to talk about probably, I would assume, one of our favorite shot on video movies, the Polonia Brothers classic, Splatter Farm. I am Becca, joined by Tony Masiello.
Thistle.
And Maddie Deering.
Hello?
And Slade Shepherd.
Sophie!
Oh, bringing back an oldie but goodie. All right, so we've been doing a lot of stuff. Let's just have a little 3-minute recap. What the hell has everybody been doing? So Slade, you want to start? You had the most eventful one, maybe.
Slaving away at a job that doesn't respect me.
Aww. But he's a free man now.
I'm a free man for like a couple weeks, and then it's back.
Enjoy.
Yes. I literally haven't. I probably watched 5 movies in the last couple months, and it's been fucking awful as a cinephile. I just look at my movies and I'm like, I don't. I'll just watch somebody review a movie. Don't.
You're like, I just want the cliff notes. I got too many other things to do.
This is too much fucking effort. Stop. Just let get some kind of enjoyment out of it. Keep trying to keep up. There's so much stuff I missed out in 2020, but I don't know.
You didn't miss much. Let me just.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
There are a couple that I want to take and see. There's like the what Hunter that looks pretty good, and a few other movies. But there's not been a lot of activity, which is really bumming me out. Hopefully this year will be a good change for all of us, and it'll be a good change for the industry to take and put some stuff forward. When they delayed Dune, I just died inside, and I was just like, fuck it, fuck the movie industry. Yeah.
I personally went into this, very early on in the lockdown, I went into this weird cocoon of comfort movies. And I have not wanted to watch very many new movies for the last year. I've watched so many movies that I have seen 1,000,000 times. I do that anyway, but it was like my little whoopee or something, sitting in my recliner, and I'm like, I just want to watch Sleepaway Camp 2 again. So Maddie, what have you been up to?
Spirit Animals on DVD, so I've just been promoting and working with that, and response has been really good.
And getting some really great reviews, a really great response on that.
Yeah. So far, not a bad review, so hopefully it stays that way. Well, it'll never stay that way forever, but
No, well, you know what? We'll whack
there has to be a hater eventually.
Yeah, because as your girl Taylor says, the hater's gonna hate.
Exactly.
And yes, I see your Taylor Swift behind you.
My T Swift pillow.
Uh-huh. Tony, what about you?
Taylor Swift released 2 new albums in 2020, so that was a highlight for me.
There you go.
And I found that comforting, so.
Yeah. Tony, what about you?
Just chugging away at the label, working on SOV Horror, the DVD label. We put out a lot of new releases probably since last time, probably 12 or something. Been doing 2 a month, and got 9 more coming for this year, and hopefully we'll keep it going even longer. I guess, gosh, shit. I'm so out of it. Sorry. The next group of releases is really cool, and I do want to mention them. It's a couple double features from Joe Sherlock So last month we released the first in a line called the SOV Drive-In, which is a double feature paired with intermission ads and trailers and stuff like that, kind of like those old Something Weird DVDs that used to come out, those drive-in DVDs. So kind of a similar thing. And Joe Sherlock's work, if you haven't seen his early work, it completely lends itself to this style. You know, he has it's kind of like a cheesy sci-fi kind of horror comedies. They're a lot of fun. I'm a huge fan. And so we got 2 more volumes of those coming out with Monster in the Garage and Zombie Love Slave, as well as Dimension of Blood and We Need Earth Women. So yeah, just chugging away at releases, guys. Go to sovhorror.com and please buy some movies so we can keep doing it.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And speaking of movies, yeah, that's all I've been doing. I spent the last 5 months sitting at my kitchen table editing The Embalmers.
Yes.
And now I'm done, and I had to get a real job.
Oh.
So that I can afford to pay to make the DVDs and Blu-rays.
Can't wait to see it. I'm so excited.
Yeah. Glamorous
Same.
life of indie filmmaking, everybody.
I've been there.
Yep.
That's what I used my money on my quote unquote real job for. So I feel you.
I did a panel with a bunch of indie filmmakers, and somebody asked us how we financed our movie, and all of us were like, eh. Jason Zink was like, I sold plasma. And I'm like, I used my OnlyFans, When other guy sold like all of his like comic books or something, like, yeah, guys, because everybody's kind of like thinking that all of us were going to have this like magic answer, like, oh, well, we found this great investor who, no.
You show up to your local Chinese restaurant and you're like, hey, you know where a guy can unload some organs?
No, there's big money in that if you go to the right place. I guess if you go to the right Chinese place. So, guys, we watched Splatter Farm, which again is a 1987 Polonia Brothers film, their first feature-length movie. And Tony just held up the Camp Motion version, which is what I watched that I still have from Slade that I need to return to him. And in fact, he messaged me and said, because he was getting ready to try to watch it, he's like, "Do you still have my copy of Splatter Farm?" Yeah, I'm watching it right now.
Luckily, I backed up all of them on ISO before I sent them, so just in case this happened.
Hey, they're
smart.
They are still in my possession, so I haven't gone and sold them or anything
Yet. I wouldn't trust it.
Tony just held up a VHS copy. So what is this a re-release, Tony? I know
that's the re-release VHS that came in so they put out this set not too long ago that came with the DVD and the re-release of the VHS. That's the only way I'll ever own the VHS. I mean, those things sell for like $400 or $500 now. And I will say, though, I just want to mention for people who are maybe interested in picking that up for the VHS transfer is actually really shitty. There's some what we would call frame blending issues in it and interlacing issues. It's kind of messed up looking. But I mean, for people like myself who don't want to spend $500-$600 for a copy of the original VHS, I mean, it's as good as we're going to get, because it is a different cut than the newer, I think they're calling it the cult classic edition.
Yeah,
thing.
That's what the DVD says.
So it's definitely a different cut of the film, and maybe we'll talk about that more as we kind of go through the movie or whatnot.
Yeah, and very different. And in fact, with this one, I listened to the commentary, which I try to do if I have time. And this one was actually, the commentary for this was done in 2007. So John was still alive too. So it was John and Mark. But they were talking about that this is the cut, like the cut that got released on VHS was never intended to be released. It was just a rough cut. And then somebody released it. And so this is more of what they wanted it to be, which I think is fine. We've had this debate before. Like, do we think that, like, do we like it when they do these recuts or whatever? And yeah, I mean, I think this one's a little different because it really wasn't the finished product that they wanted to put out initially.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of one of those stories you hear about a lot. I know like Flesh Eaters from Outer Space was a similar one where the director claims like, hey, that was just a rough cut. I sent them and they just put it out kind of without their knowledge. And obviously that was kind of the video industry back then. It totally was the Wild West,
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of these labels had a lot of respect for the films. It was just nothing but product, let's just get this out in stores and make money. That's what it was about, from the distributor's point of view. But I mean, as far as the VHS cut, obviously there's the technical limitations of the time. I mean, one thing you'll kind of notice in the VHS cut that's not really so much different, but like, so at each cut, like the sound almost like goes out for a second. And I think that's due to the technology of the time that they were using back then. And so that's something that they smooth over. And obviously with the new version, the editing's a lot tighter. I mean, Mark is a very accomplished editor. I mean, I don't think anyone will argue that. And so the new cut's definitely a lot smoother. The part that just kind of bums me out is some of the kind of more censorship type stuff. They kind of cut down some of the more graphic scenes and kind of recut some of those scenes, which, if you're like a super kind of purist gore hound and into really disturbing stuff, you probably want to seek out that VHS cut.
Yeah, I have the VHS cut. I really enjoy it, especially the I guess the one scene is from Hallucinations where they like shit out the knife.
Right.
And I have hallucinations. I haven't even watched it yet. So
it's a good one. We should maybe do that one sometime. That's a fun one.
Which we should also mention, I hit Mark Polonia up and said, if I know you're busy, if you want to come on, you can come on, which he couldn't, but he's like, ask me anything you want. So we did. And so that was one of Maddie's questions. Quote, why did you decide to remove the infamous knife shitting scene from the DVD version?
You don't have to quote unquote me. Come on.
Yes. But he did say it actually was just a leftover piece from Hallucinations. Yeah. It wasn't even for this movie, which, happened quite a bit. All right. So should we just jump into this? This shockingly true tale that happened on a rural Pennsylvania farm in 1968. That was like the thing of the 80s, was it not? Especially if it was something kind of like, there's a lot of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Ed Gein kind of feel to this. Obviously they were inspired by that, but that whole idea that it was true, like, and you couldn't look it up on the internet. It was a shock value for sure, but I love it. So Jeremy, so this is, and I know I've seen the VHS because I rented this when I was a kid. I could not tell you anything about it different from this cut, except for what I found out in the commentary. But this apparently is cut a little differently, even from the very get-go. Yeah. Correct? Mm-hmm. Okay. Those of you who know what it is actually, then go ahead and it's basically on the DVD cut, we get a Jeremy dream sequence that shows up again. It's like slow-mo Jeremy killing somebody and eating a gelatinous organ, spurting blood, and it's pretty cool. But how did it start originally?
Well, the VHS cut, I think, just started with credits, and I love the old school credit sequence, as well as I'd love to mention the pseudo name that they used on this movie, which was P. Allen, which I just find interesting that they didn't put their real name on it, being kind of their first real distributed film, which is kind of interesting. But it's very similar, actually. It starts off with that same scene with Jeremy kind of in a shed, like mutilating this corpse. It just edited quite differently. The VHS version, I think, goes a little longer, so there's not as many cuts as the DVD version. Like there's kind of that shot where he gets the axe and kind of like cuts into the head. And that's a lot more well executed in that DVD version than the VHS cut.
Yeah, so they said that all of that was unscripted, by the way. Basically anything that was gory and it was unscripted, which is kind of cool. But
well, I mean, with the title like Splatter Farm, I expect for them to get to the gore like quickly and just
It does not disappoint in that arena whatsoever. You know?
Yeah,
Not at
yeah.
all.
No, not at all.
And it stays consistent throughout. It doesn't peter out like halfway through.
Right.
Yeah, I think that they just went balls to the wall with literally every thing that they could ever think of to take and put into this film, just to try their best to take and get some distribution from it, and obviously worked, and probably was a significant factor in taking and kickstarting, what we think is the style of SOV horror going forward.
And in fact, I'm just going to read this quote from Mark. It was kind of his, in response to, their porn stashes and bushy hair. But I said that makes the movie. He said, yes, to a degree, we were pretty lanky and homely back then, but I guess it was a sign of the times. I'd like to think I'd gotten better looking with age, but who knows? Haha. We all had very fun memories making Splatter Farm. It's almost like we knew we already accomplished what we set out to do, make a cult classic and start our career. So, yeah. And that's what they did.
Right.
Definitely.
Now it is sad and unfortunate that of the 4 people in this movie or surrounding this movie, 3 of them have passed away.
Yeah.
Which is sad, but I mean, we still have this movie, so
Thankfully,
yeah. So we cut to, now we've got the twins. So John is playing Joseph.
You didn't mention though what Jeremy does after.
That's what I was about to say.
yeah.
I'm not desensitized, guys.
The hand job.
Yeah.
Quite literally.
Yeah. And that's what I love about this movie is really just about every gore sequence. It always like pushes it further. So it's like it goes to like a level and you go, wow, that's gross and whatever. And then they go, oh no, we're gonna
Yeah, you wonder about these young boys, like you're like, you came up with that shit,
And they were what, 17?
17, yeah. So it's the same thing I said to Tim Ritter. When I found out he was like a teenager when he made Killing Spree, I was like, what did somebody do to you?
I didn't know he was only 17.
Yeah, he was like 17 or 18, he thought. He made it. But it's like, I'm like, some chick, because it's all his movies, like those early movies are all about like some chick doing a dude wrong and him just going off the wall. I was like, did you have a bad breakup when you were like 16 or something? But yeah, so one thing I love about the hand job is he gets the hand job when he's with the corpse. But when he goes to get lemonade from Aunt Lacey, his zipper is just still down and open. And really, most of the gore in this, now that I think about it, most of the gore did have a sexual component to it, didn't it?
Sure.
There might be a couple.
Yeah.
Well, Jeremy's obviously very sexually charged killer for sure. I mean, just about everyone he kills, there's kind of almost a sexual component to it. Even like later in the movie where he's just licking like a neck stump, it's still very sexual, even though he's not, directly stimulating his organs, so to speak.
Well, hell, Lacey's a lusty little broad too.
She's just lonely.
She's
so lonely.
Oh God!
I wonder if the horse got it too later.
Oh God!
That's what I have written here in big letters. I'm like, not the horse.
Oh yes, the horse.
Oh yes, the horse.
Their owners came and got them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. Whenever you hear, oh, your pet got sent to live with your aunt in the country, don't think of this movie. But we've got so really great like staging of personality. So we first have John as Joseph, and the first thing we see is he's just like swigging the bottle, like in every potential place, smoking a cigarette on the front porch. It's like, okay, he's like the rebel. Well, he really is like the jackass of the two of them. But that was one thing that I thought was kind of funny that Mark said that he had wanted to do and he couldn't, is like in this cut, he made it to where every time the bottle went up to his mouth, it cut to the next time the bottle was coming down from his mouth.
Yeah, that sea hag better not get on my case.
Yeah.
Just his lines throughout this they're great.
Oh, they're great. Yeah.
Yeah.
His nicknames for Aunt Lacey.
Yeah, John really steals the show in this one. He's so good.
Yeah. I just don't really still understand why they went to go stay with her. It didn't sound like their parents were like forcing them, and it didn't sound like they ever had that much fondness for Aunt Lacey to start out with.
It was Alan's idea for a great summer, apparently.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, they must have had nothing better to do.
I'm like, I'd really like to see where you guys were, because that must have been
He was drinking in every place imaginable. They were obviously very bored.
That's what I was about to say. John would have rather stayed in the bathtub.
Right?
No kidding. Maybe he figured Aunt Lacey was a lush. He was going to get into her stash.
I think Alan wanted to get into her stash.
Oh, no, I think she wanted to get into Alan's stash.
Anyway.
Which we'll get to. And of all the things in this movie that are weird and uncomfortable, that made me the most uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah. I can agree.
I mean, the fact that he's, I love it. But the fact that he is a teenager and her nephew, and that she fucking drugs him so that he won't remember anything in the morning.
Love knows no boundaries.
Oh my god!
I love that nice close-up shot on his crotch when she's staring at him on the couch.
And his Velcro shoe, like they do that several times. Like she's really into the Velcro tennis shoes.
She's just sitting there licking her lips while she's knitting. She's like, God, yeah. You fucking lay there with your legs apart.
Oh my god. And then just, I mean, it's not her, but just the blanket just violently shaking.
Oh god. I know.
Oh my god.
For those who haven't seen it, like Joseph, John's character, like during the drive is giving Alan shit about Aunt Lacey having a thing for him, and he's like, no, you're gross, no.
Yeah. He's 100% right.
He was very right.
110.
Yikes, kids. All right. I realized I turned down my lights and now I can't read my notes.
But the two look exactly the same. So, like, what does she see in Alan? She doesn't see in
Alan is the sweeter one. He's like polite. He, because even like, I mean, Joseph like farts at the table and he's like, I
gotta take a shit.
I gotta take a shit. Who says that?
But she even makes the comment like, why can't he be more like you?
I know.
Oh my god. Yeah, who just lets out a big one at the dinner table? He's just like, now maybe I can see. But yeah, that's when the aunt starts playing footsie with Alan. Oh wait, I have it written down here. His thing is like, I hate to spoil lunch, but I gotta take a shit.
Yeah. But before that, even when they're in the car, I think they're like, "Oh, we're almost there." And he's like, "Good, I gotta take a shit."
Shit, yeah. Like so basically, we set out that he's the jerk with IBS.
I think that's foreshadowing to a later point.
I'm surprised anybody can eat anything on this farm, because with all the fucking cadavers and body parts lying around, this place must smell like shit.
Yeah,
I would think so. Well, and he took a shit, that just adds to it. So.
He's got body parts lying around all in the barn. Like, come on.
Well, hell,
there's
There's like a weird fetus thing in the medicine cabinet. I mean,
I
Like a mummified cat. It's just like, oh, this is a good place to put it.
and the lack of surprise by this was really. I'm just gonna pick it up. I'm gonna look at it and be like, yeah, crazy kooky Aunt Lacey. Throw it back. Who cares?
The weird family.
Yes, very odd. Okay, so this is this part that Tony had just talked about. So there's a guy chopping wood in the woods. And this is where we get the cool decap.
Wood with a pick hammer or something.
Not using the right tool, and like it's like just little pieces of wood, like tiny, like I don't know what kind of fire he's gonna start with it.
There's gold on that farm. I'll find it.
Oh.
Now I will say, so there is a sequel that came out this past year, Return to Splatter Farm. And Maddie and I both watched it. The boys did not have time to watch it. And so we'll probably kind of talk about it a little bit as we talk about this movie. But that is one kind of homage that they did put in, is there is like the wood cutting guy. There is a kill like similarly framed in Return to Splatter Farm. Written by Jeff Kirkendall, friend of the show. So, yeah. So we'll kind of just cut in with a little bit of stuff there. All right. So yeah, we get that decap, and well, I mean, I didn't remember this, but I did write down that he did jack off with that guy's severed head.
He did. How could you not remember it? Seriously.
Serious.
Well, I remember him jacking off with a severed head, but for some reason I didn't think it was that guy. So
just the hand and then the head. It's a logical.
It's a progression.
now correct.
It is slightly longer in the VHS cut than
I thought so.
Yeah.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but
he kisses it at the end, and I don't think is that not in the DVD cut? I don't remember that in the DVD cut. So he gets,
wait, what was it?
Head from the head. He gets head from the head, and then he makes out.
Yeah.
That was in the DVD cut. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but like that's the first instance of that I can ever remember of ever seeing that in a film. Like I've seen it in movies past, but did they set the bar for that? Was that the?
I mean, what year did Necromantic come out?
Oh,
yeah,
after this, I think.
Yeah.
It was the first time for sure. Maybe not a head getting head, but definitely snowballing afterwards.
Well, Necromantic came out the same year, so.
Oh.
Yeah. So you really can't say one or the other would have come first on that. I'm still trying to think, because I feel like there's something from like the 70s, like something really early.
I feel like there's something else too. It's not hitting me right now, but.
York's movies are pretty wild. I love Der Toadsking. That's like my favorite of his.
He's one of my top 5 favorite directors, probably. I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, me too.
Necromantic poster in my living room, so.
Uh-oh.
Necromantic on one wall, Taylor Swift on the other. You're a well-rounded woman.
Thank you.
All you have to do is play the music, and you know if somebody's seen the movie or not. You just
yep.
Well, you know that piano score. I could see Taylor Swift. Maybe doing.
Maybe you should do some mashups, Maddie.
Oh, yes.
I'm really tempted now. Definitely.
God. So as Jeremy puts a head in the bag and runs into Alan, and there's clearly nothing in the bag. The bag has no weight, nothing to it. And what comes out of it, he like sees it's like this. Well, they said it's ketchup and barbecue sauce is what it really was. But,
really? Because it was really thick. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah. It wasn't very drippy, But
somebody's eating too many fucking hamburgers.
Well, you know what? He has grown up with Joseph, and he probably is shit in a bag a couple times. So he's probably not. But this is where we know that the aunt is really fucked up. If we didn't know she was fucked up before, because when he comes back, he's basically telling her, "Well, you're a handyman. I ran into him, and he had this bag, and it seemed like there was blood in it or whatever. And I saw this body." So she says, "Oh, I think that's probably you probably just saw a hunter's old clothes." And Jeremy was probably picking berries.
That's the best. Yes. It reminds me of Cannibal Campout, because that's probably just berries or something.
Yes,
berries.
Just berries.
Like, oh my god, it's so great.
There definitely is parallels between this movie and Cannibal Campout for sure.
Yeah, and they were both making them at like the same time, and they didn't know each other. That's what makes it even cooler.
Yeah, and we did talk about that quite a bit when we talked about Cannibal Campout, I think.
Yeah.
But cool. We have the dream sequence again. And I put paranoid Polonia because it took me a while to figure out what their names were. It was like Niagara Falls dude. He was like the paranoid one, and then I had Pinky, and then I figured out their names.
I kind of did the same thing, so.
Yeah, I was like, come on, can one of you address the other? And like, I kept waiting for Aunt Lacey because she would just like always say like, why is he not like you? I'm like, can you just please just use a name for me?
I don't think they even mention it till like damn near the end of the film.
Yeah, I don't. Well, I think that this is about where it is because this is where I figured out that Joseph's name was Paranoid Polonia. So this is where, and this is another one of Maddie's questions. So he sees Jeremy cutting his arm, which is also something that they added into Return to Splatter Farm. Jeremy does not break that habit, we find out.
Yeah.
But so Joseph, Jingleheimer Schmidt, sorry, walks outside. He sees this, he walks outside, and he pukes. And the farm cat decides to eat this puke.
I love that.
Which is just a cute, I just said cute to this, which is a cool little thing that was like a happy accident, obviously, if you've ever been on a farm.
Cute.
Yeah, because you knew the cat wasn't going to have any, well, you would assume the actual cat was not going to have any problems. I was a little worried there for a second about Fluffball. But, if you've ever been on a farm, cats just run around and they'll eat anything and they do whatever, so. Yes.
There's some good chunks in that puke, too.
Yes. So,
a lot of corn, I think.
Well, so we are told the cat eating the puke was accidental. It was some kind of veggie soup that they used. But in the commentary, John did say that whatever it was really rancid. And so he puked, he threw up whatever it was they gave him, like spit it out. But like whatever it was so rancid that the second wave was actually puke.
Oh, God. No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it was something that was like really rotten or something. So I'm sensing that Mark is downplaying it by saying it was veggie soup there. Because I'm like, y'all said something different in the commentary there, buddy.
We use cream of mushroom soup for puke and spirit animal, so.
Yep. And it's one of the smells.
I want to know if John Deere was made aware of this.
I wondered the same thing, actually. It's so apparent in the movie.
Yes. Well, Jeremy is like practically a John Deere spokesman,
Oh, God.
Now one funny thing about that they did say is like, because they did actually mention that because they show John Deere and one of them's like, I wonder if John Deere has ever seen this and they're cool with this. But they were trying to figure out where they found all the outfits and stuff, and they were saying that was just something that they had.
Yeah.
But that John wore the Niagara Falls shirt because they thought that if it looked like they filmed it in Canada, it would add some production value.
That's hysterical.
They had just watched a Canadian movie, and they just thought it would make them look classier if this was like, if they thought it was filmed in Canada. Oh.
And no one like changes their outfits all throughout the movie, and they're there for days. They go to bed and they get up and they're wearing he's still wearing the fucking Niagara Falls shirt. I thought of that. I'm like, come on, guys, change your goddamn clothes.
Okay, now at least Alan falls asleep in his shirt all the time. He's just kind of sleeping on the couch for whatever reason. He doesn't get a bed, and so he sleeps in his clothes. But like Joseph actually like puts pajamas on, but then changes back into the stinky stuff. But
maybe he's got a whole closet of John Deere.
They all just have like one thing. Yeah. It's like the Flintstones, the Simpsons, it's just, but like I see why they would have done that just because.
It makes continuity a lot easier. I know.
And it just helps us with identification. I mean, cause I'm an idiot, cause that's how I'm identifying them. They probably knew that.
Maybe he just went to Niagara Falls and he's like, wow, I really love this shirt. I'll take 10 of them.
Yes, please. And you know what? The whole time, this would be me at this thing, looking down, going, wow, that was a way better vacation than this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does actually beg a question there. Like, they would have gone to Niagara Falls, which would have been a far better destination. So this is the contrast. What was it like last summer? Their parents paid way too much money for their vacation. So this summer they have to go to Aunt Lacey's Psycho Farm.
She's so lonely, though.
Oh, that's where we're getting. Oh, my God. So this is really, this is super sick. It really is sick. But so they talked about Uncle Ray, if he'd still be alive, blah, blah, blah. He'd never approve of Jeremy or whatever. And then we see Uncle Ray decomposed with an axe wound in the head. Oh, and Aunt Lacey, she still can't let go of his, well... I'm just gonna stop there.
I have in my notes that stop Lacey. His dick is literally dust. Just stop.
Like how many times has she rooted around in there, for it just to literally be like a pile of dust.
I love that corpse dressed up. But it seems like she takes and puts new shirts on him every so often. It's sweet.
Yeah, that's very
that's one way to put it.
Yeah, well, it is a very kind of Psycho, Ed Gein, Texas Chainsaw, Unhinged, all of those, kind of a throwback to all those things. But then she tells him, "Well, you'd be proud of him." and keep in mind, she is not an actress; she is Todd's grandma, right? So she's delivering lines, but yeah. You'd be so proud of him, even though he did kill you with an axe.
And all I gotta say is, like, how cool is Todd's freaking grandma?
I know, right?
Like, whose grandma is gonna do all the shit that she does in this film?
Oh my God, I know.
It's bonkers what she does in this film.
I can just...
SOV Lifetime Achievement Award to her.
I can just see her reading the script. She's like, okay, all right, yeah, I'm aware. Oh, and then okay, so I'm starting to put something in his drink, and then oh,
what?
What is this?
Oh God,
we'll get to that.
Yes, we will get to all of that, but yeah, she's super trooper for sure. There are movies that I do and things that I do in movies that I really wouldn't want my coworkers to see, let alone my grandma. And so I can't imagine that like it was just like, oh, that's okay, boys. Come here, let me make you a cup of tea. And you can sit here and talk about, when you're gonna shove your hand up his ass, okay?
Maybe she really was like Aunt Lacey. Maybe she was playing herself.
Or maybe she was just cool. Not all old people are fogies and shit. Some of them do.
I know.
Yeah, they're all sitting around in a parking lot smoking pot, and they're like, "Who can we get to play Lacey?" I know, my grandma. She's cool as shit, man.
I mean, though, without her in that role, though, and without that character, I mean, I don't think this movie wouldn't be half as disturbing as it is. And I mean,
it's definitely
one of the great selling points of this film is kind of how disturbing and all the incest stuff and all that kind of going in the plot. I mean, it's definitely part of the magic of this film for sure. It wouldn't be the same without it.
And I think it's better that she isn't an actress. I mean, it does seem a little more natural, and like the fact that she is kind of just reciting lines really adds to the whole like the weird facade of the character, as opposed to you just being like, oh, it's a bad actor kind of thing.
Definitely. I think she did amazing in the movie.
Yeah.
I love it.
I do too. Slade, were you about ready to say something?
No, I was just saying, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's so lonely. So this is where shit starts going down. The brothers find a bloody boot in the barn. Say that 10 times fast. And of course, they try to call somebody, and the phone line is down. And they're in the middle of nowhere, and then suddenly their car was taken back to the rental place. Their not new car taken back to the rental place. They don't have a ride to get out. He did explain that like they shot the first part, and then that car died, and like it was just totally dead. Or they shot the Mustang that was, when they were like cleaning off the Mustang, that car totally died, and then they got a new car, and they needed to do all those moving shots, so they were just like, well, we'll just figure out a way to ride it in.
Yeah,
took it back to the rental place.
Well, one thing about those particular shots when they're taking you around the car and they're like, shit, we can't get out of here, I guess we're stuck, and then you can see in the background their other house. And it's just like, go to the neighbors.
Well, they even mentioned early on they're gonna go see this whatever sisters with the big tits down the road. I mean, so they obviously know a neighbor.
You mean the one with the big titties?
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder why they never did go see the neighbor. I mean, when their only companies Aunt Lacey and Jeremy, you would think, the big tits chick is coming any minute.
Right.
Who's a literal psycho who is not even trying to hide it.
Oh yeah.
not even the least.
Not even a little bit.
No.
Jeremy's jacking off
under the kitchen table. Yes. Just sitting there cranking it, just like it ain't no thing.
There's no shame.
No, he doesn't. All right. So Joseph wants to leave like a sane person, but Alan, he's worried about Aunt Lacey.
Of course he is.
That's what I mean. Is he always has to think for her? I mean, it's really funny because the whole time Joseph is like, Alan, she wants you, and he's just like, oh no, she doesn't, she needs us. And it's like she's rubbing her foot on his leg, she's staring at his crotch. I mean, he's so oblivious to her advances. It's so hilarious.
Yeah, like I mean, she's being about as blatant as you can be. Like, even if
like Alan wanted it. I think Alan like
I think you're right.
Maybe. Yeah, he was very defensive of her, afraid that she was going to get hurt. And then I have on here, so then, he's, so Joseph walks out and he finds a spinal column with, I don't know, a mandible or something. some
Like a
sort of
house.
like animal type thing out there. And there's a shovel. And so he just decides to randomly start shoveling and finds other pieces. Apparently, though, that shovel was just out there.
That's creepy.
Yeah. I'm thinking I would have been like, let's go pick another location. Yeah. But meanwhile, Alan's having some tea with Aunt Lacey and saying, you must get lonely out here. Oh, Alan, you don't even know. Oh my God. And she is like, I mean, this is where it just gets really weird and uncomfortable. I mean, she is like eye fucking him. I mean, just like up and down. And that's when they show the shoe again. She gets all the way to those shoes. Velcro.
I love that she trusts the drug too. That she's just like, oh, you won't remember a thing tomorrow.
You know, makes you wonder about those summers when they were like 13 and went out there.
Oh God.
I won't be lonely anymore.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah, so she drugs him with whatever the hell she drugs him with, and he likes it. He's like, oh, it's pretty good. You know, it's like, I mean, she poured
Why is it every
all of it
in a movie they drink all of it really fast?
It's hot tea. It's hot tea.
I'm gonna drink all this really fast.
It's taken me an hour to drink my hot tea. Yeah, he just chugs it, and it's like, and she's put probably like a quarter cup of whatever powdery substances in this. Like, you don't notice like all the sweet and low, if you will, at the bottom of the cup.
I would love to see a movie that would explore that, where they just take a couple sips and be like, oh, this tastes like crap and I feel a little woozy. It's like, I'm not going to drink anymore. It's like, no, please just finish it. Come on.
Keep going. Oh, I made there's a play on that in the Embalmers. Someone takes just a sip of something and they knock right out. It's on purpose. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, you won't remember a thing in the morning. We get the cut to the blanket, and I have Alan being ridden hardcore. Of course, he's not. But it's
I laughed so hard the first time I watched this, with just seeing the blanket just like jumping up and down.
It looks like two dogs fighting under a blanket or something.
Yeah.
And I mean, did she bathe him the next morning? Like he didn't smell like musty sex after?
I don't want to know.
All right. Oh man, oh man.
I got a feeling Alan kind of liked it.
I think Tony's right about this.
I think I'm starting to come along to that. Yeah.
Yeah. But this is where I think he starts realizing something's kind of weird, and
Finally.
yeah, right. It took you that long. He's just like, my balls are sore. I think something's going on, you know. But so he says that he thinks I guess we're stuck here. And this is where Joseph goes on his hero arc. And he's like, not if I can help it, you know. And so they're gonna go snoop around, but as you often do in a horror movie, you make a pact with someone that, hey, we're going to get up and we're going to go together and we're going to go sneak around. You get up and you look at your brother lovingly. He's sleeping. You just put the blanket on and you go by yourself, of course, to the barn of horrors. Like, where Joseph would never come back from. Oh, God.
That's that shitting, that foreshadowing I was talking about earlier is coming up here.
Yeah. And you know, I am all for like bad poop jokes and potty jokes and stuff like that. I did not get that until you said it just now. I just thought they wanted to show that he was like really disrespectful, but I guess
this is when the movie takes a really mean turn. Like this is a
yeah.
The barn scene is just it goes from kind of being a little slapsticky to just plain
what
mean.
the fuck?
Yeah. I mean, so far we haven't known any of the people who got killed. They haven't been characters that we've actually known. And it's been goofy, and like, I mean, he's just been masturbating with all of them. So now we have like a live person that we've gotten to know, and now they're in peril. Yeah, I mean, and it's really like a very sadistic.
And John sells it. I mean, with the faces of torture he makes during that scene, it's
And I love that they didn't go with any sound effects or dialogue. They just had that droning music in the background.
Yeah.
Hearing it really took and amplified the whole scene.
Mm-hmm.
And that scene is, ooh, Lord.
Long story short, if you haven't seen the movie, he gets fisted in the ass, guys.
Yeah,
he gets fisted in the ass.
And then he gets poopy face.
Yeah.
oh
Gosh.
Bloody poopy face.
Oh, yes, we forgot that.
but he doesn't just get fisted. He gets fisted like right after eating, like, I don't even know, like a fucking jar of prunes or some shit. This man, when his fist comes out, like, woof, it's all over him. Yeah, he starts shoving it all over his face and his mouth. That is just fucking sadistic. I mean, and it's like, we all know it's just chocolate, but it's sadistic as shit.
And it's cut very effectively. I mean, it's a very effective scene. I mean, like I said, John sells it. I mean, you definitely like, yeah, it's definitely probably one of the more disturbing scenes of the film for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and just the fact that he has him tied up, you know, and he like flips him and pulls his pants down. Yeah, I mean, just that whole exchange, you know, is just, it's pretty fucked up, man. And also he gets impaled with a pitchfork, you know, but that's by that point in time, you're like,
he's been pissed on, he's been fisted.
Yeah.
Oh yes, we forgot to mention that.
I was just gonna say, piss on him first. You're like, oh, okay, and then
let me rinse some of that shit off your face here.
And unlike most movies like that, when he gets impaled, he doesn't die instantly.
Yeah.
Like he's sticking around afterwards, just in misery.
Yeah,
and that just even makes it even worse.
Definitely.
Well, in misery and sitting on the front porch, like Jeremy is taking him as his pet now. You know, he's over there like fixing his hair and shit. Like that's the first time you really get to see Jeremy, like not just as your average angry psycho. Then you really get to see like the.
Well, there's some foreshadowing with that too. He makes some comments, I think, when they first show up. He's like, "Oh, are they going to be mine or something like that, or along those lines?" You know.
You can dress him up in sunglasses and a hat and go a weekend to Bernie's.
And I want to mention too, the VHS cut of that scene is a lot more graphic than the DVD cut. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, and there are reasons. I mean, not just for the graphic thing. There are reasons, but we won't discuss them. But yeah, it was a different time, folks, and it was, you know, independent and all that jazz.
I'm the man of the house now.
Oh my god. So she wakes up and Ray's corpse is in bed with her. Apparently she really was asleep and they put that in her bed and that's her really waking up.
Are you serious?
She was
great.
Pissed off at them.
Great.
Yeah.
That's fucking amazing.
Way to get a genuine reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the Ridley Scott School of Directing.
Yeah. There you go. Kudos to you boys. You know, of course, if they would have given Grandma a heart attack, you know, then the story would be way different. God. Oof. So through all of this, though, so I mean, she gets up, and, you know, he's out in the shed or the barn or whatever, and I mean, there's screaming, obviously, and then they're on the front porch, which we've already established is right by the living room, which the whole time Alan is just sleeping right there, and he doesn't wake up for any of this.
He was drugged.
I want to say that there's a missed opportunity when she takes and comes out and sees them sitting there, that he could still have his hand up his ass and be playing him like a puppet. Oh, everybody goes silent. Come on now. It's like dead silence.
Yeah. Yeah, Slade, because we needed something else there.
Really?
So so yeah, so Aunt Lacey's pissed off and let's go get some shovels and let's go bury him. In the textbook definition of a shallow grave.
Yeah, it's like 2 feet, maybe.
Not even. I mean, it barely like it barely even was like deep enough for his body to like get in.
It's still pretty effective though.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
really great
With the
scene.
hand coming up, he's still reaching and stuff. Yeah. So I mean, he was close to death. I mean, it was believable that he wasn't going to be able to fight it or, or do this just to crawl out. But
I mean, how many people are going to let someone actually like bury them? I mean,
yeah,
That's what I was.
buried. I mean, I wouldn't do that.
That's what
Yeah.
I was about to say. Like having dirt shoveled in your face and not moving at all. Like, oh.
Yeah, you are pretty much gone.
Super.
Yeah, not even to have just a reaction, just like a reflex.
Mm-hmm.
So then here's the big problem. So Jeremy, I guess if he can't have his, then Lacey can't have her boy. And in like the most, I don't know, like of this movie that was like has been completely like gory, whatever. He just gets shot in the head, and it just seems like, wow, like you would think that like he would have gotten like the worst of it, being kind of the last one.
I love that head explosion. It's iconic, and I have said that to many of my friends just to scream. Like, I love it so much.
Oh,
totally.
The next one is mine.
Oh, well, both of these, but I love the way he dies either way. It's Jeremy, no! Like, Jeremy! I love that scene so much.
I thought we were friends. No. Okay, so then we get the big like James Bond villain moment. He has to explain everything.
Oh my god, here we go. Making what we've been talking about this whole time even more creepier.
Yeah, which I thought from the very get-go, I thought they knew Jeremy to start out with, but then they did say something about he looked familiar.
Yeah,
I don't think they set it out quite enough that he was like the handyman or whatever, but I like just kind of assumed he was her kid. But well, yeah, he's her kid.
They make some comment early when they first meet him. Oh, where do you live, or something like that.
Yeah,
yeah.
And they never really question Lacey either. Like, how did you find him? Are you sure he's like? They never.
Why do you have
like
this fucking psychopath? Fucking farm.
Why is there a John Deere rep?
Juice and all sorts of weird shit.
I love that dinner scene where it's just got the corpse just sitting there at the table, just hanging out.
Yeah.
But yeah, she explains in great detail that you didn't kill him. I killed Ray. he raped me. He wasn't my husband. He was my brother. Now, okay, we've already had the boys mention Uncle Ray. So they apparently, I mean, they were together. They may not have been married, but they were together enough to have been Uncle Ray. And their mom would know, because that would be her brother as well, correct?
Yeah.
I'm like, and you're okay with sending them there. And you agree with the life choices that Lacey's made to stay with your rapist brother? Which everybody would probably know that's her brother. But that's not the shameful thing. The shameful thing is that she had a baby and had to hide that.
Who wasn't like the other kids.
He definitely wasn't.
No.
Oh, no, he wasn't. I mean, but he does have a way with Roman candles now, doesn't he?
I just love that that they have random fireworks slaying around.
I know.
Slade, we've heard stories of your life and childhood. And so you should be the last person to question that.
Oh God, this woman reminded me so much of my grandmother. It's ridiculous.
Oh, God.
I could tell you some of the most horrible stories of taking go over to her house to eat. She would take and have canned food that was 10 years expired, taking and making.
It's still okay.
No, it
It's
tastes
fine
like,
if it's in a can.
it tastes like fucking dust.
It tastes,
No, you don't understand. It's like fucking macaroni cheese just in the box, but it's got logos from the fucking 70s on it.
it
It's
tastes
awful.
like dust. It tastes like raised dick, man.
I bet if I had some raised dick, I bet it would taste just
Whoa.
I mean, talk about a fucking climactic ending, you know.
Yeah.
oh my God.
And that would be like, you know, we talked kind of about like all the crazy shit that Aunt Lacey did during this movie, but I just want to hear that conversation of how they convince her. Okay, we're gonna shove this up your pussy, and then we're gonna explode you.
So
I just would love to be a fly on the wall to hear that conversation. You know,
just he takes and I'm gonna get you, and he takes and shoves that firework that's just randomly lying there, and she does it and takes and lights it, and oh my God, what happens next is like it's like they had a conversation. You're like, holy shit, what do we do to take and amp this up? We already blew our load. We can't go any farther. It's like, no.
We already exploded ahead. What comes next, everybody?
Oh, yeah.
I would like to see Mythbusters actually like see if this would work. I don't think we would have that like actual result that we have in the movie, but what we get is fantastic.
Yeah.
That's bootleg Chinese fireworks right there.
Oh yeah, covered like wrapped in foil or something.
Yeah.
Oh God.
And kaboom. So just kind of briefly, because like I said, Maddie and I were the only ones who watched it. And it is shot on video, but it is Mark Polonia. But Return to Splatter Farm, 33 years later, a girl named Bobby inherits said farm, and she and her friends go out there it's a death farm.
Yeah, I love that.
There are a lot of little homages in this to several horror movies. Like, of course, we've got a Harbinger of Death. We've got a couple of them. But Jeremy is still there, and Jeremy is now our friend Jeff Kirkendall. And he's still cutting.
Awesome.
He was awesome. He was still cutting his arm with the scythe. He, just old habits die hard, apparently. But we have a lot of cool people in this. We have Mel Heflin, Jenny Russo, Jeff, like I said, Danielle Donahue. And I won't give too much away on this because this is a new movie. We don't usually do new movies on this. we only do movies that we've seen 4,000 times in the last 30 years. So. Yeah. So we won't spoil it, but there are a few really cool homages to the original Splatter Farm. And it is a direct continuation. It's not like some stupid thing where it's like, oh, Jeremy's like brother's, sister's cousin or whatever is like the killer now. But we will. I think Maddie and I can say that probably the highlight of this movie is when they do the recap of what happened to Alan and Jeremy in flashback format, but they don't use footage from the original movie. I'm not going to say anything more because it's wonderful and delightful. So definitely check it out. It is on Prime for rent, like video on demand.
There's a Niagara Falls shirt. I just want to add. I love that homage.
Oh yeah, the in the flashback, yeah. I'm not even going to say anything more.
No, don't say anything more. I just want to mention that.
I knew nothing about it, and then when I saw it, I was dying. But yeah, definitely check that one out too. So guys, it's been so long, Tony. What's our rating system? Like, don't just remind the folks at home. I don't even remember.
So we'll work down to up. So 0 or turkey is like, this is the worst shit ever. 1 is it's bad. 2 is fair. 3 is good. 4 is excellent. 5 is amazing.
All right, Slade Shepherd, since you have no picture, no video, we're going to start with you. Put you on the spot.
Okay, I saw this one for the first time. It's been a few years back, but this was one that didn't come out at my local video store, so I missed out. But it has stuck with me, and it, like Redneck Zombies, I think is one of those quintessential SOV films that if you like the genre, you have to watch it. And just on that, just the editing, the creepy score, the acting is actually really solid in it, I thought. I mean, especially considering that these guys were so young when they made it, and the gore effects, just everything about it just screams, if you haven't seen it, you like SOV, watch this film. So it's easily a 5.
And then go get the cool shirts that Maddie and I have on.
Yep.
Yeah, we have our Splatter Farm shirts.
Oh, yes.
This is one that I watched probably only a couple times when I was a kid. I can't really tell you why I wouldn't have rented it more, because this is definitely, I don't know. I was too busy reading Video Violence 2 for the 10th time. I don't know. But this is a must see. And when you find out, like, especially as you're older and you find out that you were not that much younger than the people who made these movies, it always boggles me and makes me feel like a total loser that I wasn't doing something more productive with my teenage years.
Same here.
Yeah, but I mean, it was just so ambitious of them to do this. And like we said, the grandma was so super cool. The gore effects are cool. They're good. I mean, obviously, like, the head that gets decapitated is not the head of the guy. Like
not?
they could. No, they couldn't. Oh no, they killed him for real. But no. I mean, obviously, they just they had a lot of leftover props. They just used whatever head they had and that kind of stuff. But like, it again, like Slade said, if you love SOV, this is a really well done one. And I'm going with the 5 as well. Maddie?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm going to say a 5 as well. I didn't see this till like 2 years ago. We were like, already started shooting Spirit Animal. And I finally bought a copy like halfway through filming, and I watched it because I had always wanted to see it. And I showed it to my effects artist, cinematographer, was like, this one I want the gore to look like. So this was already a huge inspiration already halfway through filming. It was like already one of my favorite movies before I ever saw it, because I love everything about it. It's so out there. The gore is amazing, like you guys said, and it's so fun. Huge fan.
Tony?
Disappointed I didn't see it sooner.
So I'm going to give this turkey. No, I'm just fucking. 5 star all the way, guys. I would say, if you've seen other Polonia Brothers movies, this is radically different than their other work. I mean, this is extreme cinema at its finest. I mean, what I love about this movie is, they do like these crazy kind of setups as we've discussed today, but they always take it one step further. So it's like, I decapitate a guy, I'm now going to get head from him, and now I'm going to give it a snowball, or I'm going to lift the neck stump after, like, and there's aborted babies in it. I mean, there's just so much crazy shit happening in this movie that it could only be conceived by a couple of young 17-year-old gorehound fans who just wanted to make a crazy fucking movie. And this
who didn't have to face like adult coworkers the next day.
And it's a batshit crazy movie. I mean, and it's so much fun. It's disturbing. It's it's funny. I mean, the performances are amazing. I mean, I think like we kind of mentioned earlier, John is great in it. So is Mark and Aunt Lacey, and even Jeremy Todd Smith. I mean, gosh, his Jeremy is just like such an iconic character, and I'm really looking forward to seeing Jeff Kirkendall kind of play that character in the sequel. And 5 stars all the way. I mean, if you have not seen this movie and you're an SOV fan, buy it right now. Don't rent it. Go buy it. Get yourself a copy and watch it and watch it multiple times. Get this new set because it does have the VHS, and I do recommend checking out both cuts because it's really interesting too to kind of see. Obviously the original cut, the unintended, I guess, distributed cut, but also kind of how far the technology's come and how great of an editor Mark Polonia is. Because I don't think Mark, a lot of times, a lot of people shit on the Polonia brothers. Let's just face it. A lot of people do. A lot of people put down their work. And I really feel like those guys are so talented and what they pulled off, especially at such a young age. I mean, they're like 17 years old and getting a movie distributed in the 80s. I mean, how many people did that? Tim Ritter. There's a handful of people. There's not many, and it's such an amazing movie. 5 stars all the way. Buy it.
And I will say I was pleasantly surprised the other day. I was on Tubi, which I often am. And I happened to notice that Channel 13, which is one of the like lost Polonia Brothers movies that got put out kind of recently by SRS, I think. Mark basically put back together, pieced it from other stuff. That is actually on Tubi. And I watched another one that he pieced together that he didn't really have a whole lot of to work with. Nightmare Vacation is on there too. And I just noticed there's another one of I'm assuming one of these lost ones. I have not seen this, called Bad Magic.
No,
Bad Magic's awesome.
That's not a lost.
Okay. But so if you're interested in some more Polonia Brothers stuff, Tubi's got it. Tubi's got it.
Power.
That's right.
Polonia Power.
And a lot of Mark's newer movies. Mark is still a filmmaker.
Cranking them out, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I guess we'll be back. We promise. It's not going to be another 2.5 months or however the hell long it was.
Longer, I think, like 4 months at least.
It was long enough to where we had a theme song, used it one time, and then nobody remembered that we had used our theme song. So,
which is awesome.
Yes, it is, which you already heard at the beginning of this, I'm sure. But all right, guys. Well, we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.